To put this into perspective, my daughter 18 is autistic and has wanted to attend college for several years now. She just graduated high school. However, due to Asperger's, she prefers that word, she's often extremely naive and has on multiple occasions gotten herself into trouble for blindly doing the dirty deeds of school bullies. She often needs to be told how to do things that many neurotypicals her age know how to do. Other than that, she's very book smart and earned a 3.75 GPA in high school. There's a school in Western Florida called Pensacola Christian College, PCC, that my wife and I believe would suit her best. We're not very religious, but PCC is the best choice because it offers a sheltered, secure and strict environment. For instance, they have a demerit system that keeps students accountable for their actions, and a student court is required for each offense. Also, there are many required events that not even most Christian colleges have. These include mandatory attendance at fine arts plays and commencement, and every undergraduate student is assigned to a gender-segregated society, Greek life. From what I've gathered, this is to keep a sense of community within the college and to keep the traditions of Bob Jones University alive, the alma mater of the PCC founders. There's also a campus-wide curfew to keep students safe. We did a tour of the university campus last November and it's beautiful. She also enjoyed it and the chapel service that was included. Unfortunately, she's now decided that she doesn't want to attend this college because she read the student handbook. Particularly, she's not fond of their strict rules. However, we've already paid tuition, which is extremely cheap for a private university. My wife and I consult her and mentioned that we must try to overcome the challenging aspects of life. These rules are out in place for the student's safety. We even told her the college has a hotel that parents and visitors can lodge at and that she can invite us whenever she wants. She still doesn't want to go, but we told her that since we've already paid tuition, she needs to attend for at least this semester. Then she can drop out or transfer if she chooses. You are the idiot. I'm reading their student handbook now and I'm not surprised she doesn't want to go. It's far too strict. There are rules about how to dress. Women can't wear trousers outside their residence hall, how long men's hair is allowed to be, no dyeing hair, bright colors, and no piercings or tattoos. No smoking or drinking, even off campus. No attending a movie theater or concert. No listening to unsuitable music. No watching TV or movies with any adult themes. It goes on and on. It's ridiculous. Either you trust your daughter as a young adult to handle herself in the real world, or you don't. If she can't go to college or make her own choices, then she shouldn't go. Wrapping her in cotton wool and forcing her to go to a strict college won't do any good. How's she supposed to survive after college, when she's on her own without any rules? OMG, I looked at the website, and that is absurd. No way to prepare her for adult life. STEM courses based on the Bible, yeah. Stairwells, parking lots, and elevators are segregated by gender. Opposite genders are not allowed physical touch and need a chaperone and school-administered pass to hang out. They are only allowed to patronize businesses authorized by the uni. World music is banned. This is insane. Closer to a prison than a university. They assign guards to follow and watch students who break the rules. I feel bad for OP's daughter. My daughter can't make decisions for herself and it's a problem. I decide for her and see no problem in this. Who wants to bet she's naive, not because she's autistic, but because her parents have made sure she remains sheltered? That place sounds like a full-on cult. Yeah, I don't know whether to laugh or cry. Your daughter is an autistic female teenager who is particularly vulnerable to bullying and manipulation. So you want to send her to a religious college? This can't be real. Sending your daughter is dangerous. Let her go to an actual community college, not an accredited place that only seeks to control. I, 56 male, have 5 children. This is about 3 of them. Casey, 26 female, Alex, 31 non-binary, and Tom, 34 male. My daughter Casey is getting married this winter to her fiancé Max, 27 male, whom she's been with for about 4 years. I'm covering most of the wedding expenses as Max's family lives in a different country. With the currency exchange rate, they won't be able to afford the wedding and also attend the wedding. I have no issues with it and just want my little girl to be happy. Last week while Casey was away, my children Alex and Tom came to visit with their families, and we were talking about wedding invitations. I was surprised to hear that they hadn't received their wedding invitations, so I just thought that Casey hadn't sent them out yet for everyone until my oldest and youngest daughters pointed out that they'd received their invitations with their kids and partners invited. I called my sister, who also said Casey had invited their whole family to the wedding too, and she received hers a while back, so I immediately saw red. Alex and Tom have husbands and children, adopted, and it seems Casey has excluded them because of their choices. It also seemed weird since Casey has always been close to them and supported them when they came out as non-binary and gay respectively. I called Casey and demanded an explanation. My daughter said that Max and his family don't feel comfortable with couples that are not traditional and it goes against their culture, and that she hopes for my understanding. I told her, if that's the case, I will not be walking her down the aisle, and I'm pulling out from paying for her wedding, as she cannot exclude her family like this when they did nothing wrong, and if her future in-law's opinion is so important to her, they can pay for the wedding. As a result, Casey called me an idiot and hung up crying. My children are on my side and my wife is torn as she understands where Casey comes from, but agrees that she shouldn't have excluded her siblings like this. Edit. I just want to add something about my wife. When I say she's torn and gets where Casey comes from, it doesn't mean she supports Casey's decision to exclude her siblings. She doesn't approve of it in the slightest. However, as a mother of our children, she feels she should be there for all her children if they need her or want to talk, even if she doesn't agree with their choices. She's still deeply hurt by what Casey has said, as she absolutely adores Alex's and Tom's husbands and their children. Not the idiot. Casey can be bigoted on her own dime. I would never put my money into an event that discriminated against two of my kids like this. I also think it's pretty scummy that she didn't even have the guts to tell Alex and Tom they were being excluded. It's always surprising to me that people can make bigoted choices and expect understanding from those around them. I'm non-binary myself, and thank you for supporting all of your children. 2, by backing up their identities and refusing to let them be discriminated against on your dime. And 1, by setting firm boundaries and letting her know there are real-world consequences for choosing to be a bigot. Not that I'm justifying or excusing the daughter's behavior for 1 second, for which there 100% should be consequences, but if I were OP, alarm bells would be ringing in my mind for domestic abuse and controlling behavior. For her to go from literally helping her siblings come out to not inviting them to her wedding smacks of being controlled by her fiancé and in-laws, especially as she's not even told them face to face, so she's likely internally really struggling with the decision. Not at all saying this excuses it, just my 2 cents. Wow, great point. OP, this is something to consider, especially since the groom is from another country. The groom could be from a place where non-traditional and not accepted but controlling men are. It won't be long after the wedding when Casey will stop attending any family functions because of her husband's culture and traditional beliefs. I, 29 male, have been a lifetime Eagles fan since I was 10 and have never once been to a game. So you can see how excited I was when I found out their first game was going to be in my hometown. I and 3 other of my friends bought tickets in the hotel room, and one of my buddies is going to pay for the flights. My wife recently found out she needs surgery for flat feet and will be in a cast for a few months. We were both informed of the date, which coincidentally is the day of the game. Now she's asking me to stay behind despite knowing I already paid for everything. My wife says I can always go to more football games and that it's not like I will never get to see the Eagles again. But I told her no, that I already paid for everything and that I won't be cancelling. She called me an elite idiot and said I was prioritizing football over her. So, am I the idiot here? I don't want to cancel the trip because of my wife's surgery. It's not like I'm a surgeon. She'll be fine. Buddy, Guy, Hal, do you want to be divorced? You are the idiot extremely. This is your wife. Through sickness and health. She needs surgery for a reason. She isn't doing it for fun. And men wonder why women always think less of them regarding sports. This is a prime example. Tell your friends sorry you can't go, but your wife is more important than people throwing a brown ball. As a fellow Eagles fan, I say you are the idiot, and I mean colossally so. She doesn't just want her mom and sister to be by her side. She she needs you by her side. You, her husband, who made the vows with her at the wedding, and you're choosing a pre-season game, a game that will end up having no meaning whatsoever anyway, over being there for your wife when she needs you most. This decision could put a massive dent in your relationship with your wife, if not outright jeopardize the marriage. Be a good husband. Be there for your wife. Screw the game. Sell your ticket. You'll have many chances to see the Eagles this season. It doesn't have to be this pre-season matchup. Seriously, reconsider going to the game. Even Cowboys fans don't have this level of idiocy. OMG, I skimmed this and didn't even realize it's a damn pre-season game. Pre-season? What a useless game to attend. Maybe it's good that she sees how entitled and selfish he is now. She can start dating again and find someone who can be a loving, supportive partner. My wife and I are trying to see both of our families for Thanksgiving this year. We plan to see her family on Thursday morning and afternoon and then drive to my parents' house to spend Thursday and Friday nights there. From our house, it's a 3-hour drive to my wife's uncle's, Bob's, house where her family is gathering. Then it's another 2-hour drive to my parents' place from there. And finally, an almost 4-hour drive home on Saturday. A lot of driving, especially with 2 kids, kindergartner and toddler. Our original plan was just to see my family, but my wife's favorite aunt, Viv, and Uncle Ray are driving from out of state to visit this year and just decided this a couple of weeks ago. My wife hasn't seen them in almost 4 years and she's super excited. They were supposed to arrive on Wednesday night, but I guess something in their plans changed and they aren't expecting to get in until late Thursday night or possibly Friday morning. My wife is disappointed. She now wants to change our plans to see this aunt and uncle. She wants us to find a place to stay in Bob's City so that she can spend time with her favorites, Viv and Ray. Bob doesn't have space for us to stay there because other family members are already staying with him, so it would have to be a hotel. I quickly checked when my wife mentioned her idea and no rooms for cheaper than $500 a night are available. Unless we want to drive another hour away, she would also want to spend the majority of the day on Friday with her family and go see my parents late Friday night. I told her I didn't want to sacrifice time with my family. I haven't seen my parents since Easter, and with my wife's plan we would essentially sleep there Friday night and then head home Saturday. I have to be back home on Sunday because I'm scheduled to be on call for work that day, and there's no way I can find someone to switch with me. I told my wife if she wanted to spend more time with her family, then she could drive there herself on Friday morning and I'll stay at my parents' place. I told her she could either take the kids with her or I would keep them with me. Her choice. She told me that Viv and Ray still need to meet our youngest, so she would want to take the kids, but since the drive is so long, she would want my help with driving and the kids. That's why to her it makes sense to try and stay somewhere in Bob's City, regardless of the cost. $500 wouldn't break us, but that's a lot of money to spend on one night. I told her I don't want to change our plans at all, and she thinks I'm being an idiot about it. She said she really wanted to see Viv and Ray and this was her only chance. This is so confusing. Our plan is already complicated, and I'd rather just stick with it than try and change things up. It's already going to be stressful. I've already decided that I will strongly argue against trying to see both families like this in the future. It's too much. I spent last Thanksgiving with her family, and not mine, and will be with her family for Christmas too. You are the idiot. You're comparing 6 months to 4 years. Way to consider her needs. It's not the money you're complaining about mostly. Oh no, it's about you finding your wants more important. It's not about $500 for one night. It's $500 so she can finally see her family. And he was already planning on just giving her half a day with her family and 2 nights for his. Why can't he just switch the plan around? You keep giving her options that have 0 impact on you. You don't seem willing to compromise anything on your end. She hasn't seen these people in 4 years while it's been, 6 months since you saw your parents? Go spend time with her family. I question how Viv and Ray can be the favorite aunt and uncle if your wife hasn't seen them in 4 years and they've never met one of your children. Doesn't your family have Zoom to have those interactions? If $500 is not a big deal to your family, why haven't you made a trip to see them with the children? If everyone can drive to a central location, it doesn't sound like they're so far away that the trip would be cost prohibitive. So why does this trip have to be now at the expense of time with your family? Your wife is the idiot. You have a valid reason for sticking with the original plan. It provides for an equitable distribution of family time, and you really want to see your parents. Growing up, my father was a jerk to me and my mother. She never stood up for herself or me. When I turned 17, I called my father out for his behavior,